She didn't know I came home early. She thought I was still in Ohio, stuck in that all-day workshop that was supposed to stretch until Sunday night. She had no idea my flight got canceled last minute and that I managed to grab a standby seat on the last plane out. She didn't know I walked in through the garage door at 11:43 p.m. and stopped when I saw one heel, just one, tossed across the living room like it had been kicked off mid-laugh. She didn't know I stood in the dark hallway for almost 5 minutes, listening. 2 voices upstairs. Hers. And a man's. Not porn. Not TV. Just low conversation, breathy giggles, a thud. Another laugh. A shushing whisper. I didn't go up. I went to the kitchen. I sat there, under the sad yellow light of the fridge, staring at the dent in the door where she threw a spoon at me last year during a fight over laundry. It used to make me feel small. That night, it made me feel cold. At 12:22 a.m., I heard footsteps creak the stairs. Only hers. She came down humming, wearing a robe, holding 2 wine glasses. When she walked past the kitchen entrance, I watched her stop, freeze, really, when she saw me at the table. I didn't say a word. Neither did she. She turned white, like all the blood in her body realized it had somewhere else to be. She set the glasses down. One of them still had lipstick on it, that frosty pink shade she only wears when she wants to look effortlessly fun. She said, "I thought you were in Columbus." I just nodded and walked past her, up the stairs. She didn't follow. In the bedroom, I opened the safe and took out the envelope. I'd prepped it a month ago, half hoping I'd never need it. Inside was everything I'd gathered over the last 4 weeks. Hotel charges, screenshots of text messages she thought she deleted, a voicemail accidentally left on my phone when she forgot to hang up after calling me, saying, "Don't worry, he'll never find out." I walked to the bed, set the envelope right where her pillow should have been, and turned to leave. She was in the hallway, still in that robe, still trying to come up with the first lie that might stick. Then she said the dumbest thing anyone has ever said to me. "It's not what it looks like." And I laughed. Like, really laughed. The kind of laugh that doesn't sound human. The kind that's part grief, part relief, part broken animal. And as I walked past her, I whispered something she couldn't answer. "You're going to wish it was." I slept in the car. Not because I didn't have a right to the bed. Not because I didn't want to explode. But because I didn't want to give her the satisfaction of watching me break. So I left the house at 1:03 a.m., took the envelope with me. Yeah, I couldn't leave it yet. And drove to the dark corner of a Walmart parking lot where even the lights seemed ashamed to shine. I didn't cry. Not really. I just stared at the cracked windshield. A gift from a hailstorm 6 months ago she swore we'd get fixed together. And listened to the silence that somehow screamed louder than any fight we ever had. In the morning, I went home. Quiet. Careful. I half expected her to be gone. But there she was, standing in the kitchen, hair up, sipping coffee, scrolling her phone like she was just a wife on a Sunday. She looked up at me, blinked once, and said, "Can we talk?" I didn't answer. Just walked past her, dropped the envelope on the table, and opened the fridge. I wasn't hungry. I just didn't want to look at her. She didn't open it. Just stared at it like it might bite. Then finally said, "Whatever's in there. It's not the whole story." That line again. That pathetic, practiced sentence people say when they know they've been caught, but haven't yet figured out how to spin the fallout. I didn't respond. Still didn't need to. Later that day, I went into the bathroom while she was in the backyard fake watering the succulents. She always forgets to water unless she's nervous. The mirror was foggy from her earlier shower, and I saw something written in the steam, a heart. A simple little heart traced into the fogged glass. The kind you draw absent-mindedly when you're feeling light, flirty, or guilty. I wiped it away, but not before I noticed something else. A second toothbrush. Not mine. It wasn't there 2 days ago. It was black, sleek, new, sitting in the holder next to hers like it had always belonged. And that's when the rage came. Not the explosive kind. Not the shouting, plate-breaking fury you see in movies. No, this was worse. It was cold, quiet, a kind of anger that settled in my bones and made itself at home. She wasn't just cheating. She was making space for him, inviting him into the rituals of our home, into the soft places, the bathroom, the bed, the routines. That damn toothbrush was worse than the hotel receipts, worse than the texts, because it meant this wasn't a fling. It was something she was nurturing while pretending I was too dumb, too passive, too wrapped up in my spreadsheets and grocery lists to notice. And maybe I was. Maybe I wanted so badly to believe in the version of us we used to be that I let her build a secret life 2 doors down from mine. But not anymore. That night, while she was in the shower again, humming the same damn song from the night before like nothing had happened, I placed the envelope on the bed, right next to her folded pajamas. This time, I added a note inside. Just 5 words. You lied with your silence. And then I packed a bag, because next time she came out singing, I wouldn't be there to hear it. She stepped out of the shower wrapped in her pale blue towel, the one I bought her 2 anniversaries ago when I still thought gestures like that mattered. The air smelled like her grapefruit shampoo and steam, but I noticed something else, the faintest trace of cologne I didn't own. Not fresh. Faint. Lingering. Embedded. Like him. The envelope was gone. She must have read it, though she never mentioned it. That day, she acted like everything was normal. Too normal. She cooked breakfast, pancakes, even, and played some indie playlist we used to love. I could feel her watching me from across the table while I chewed, like she was waiting for me to say something, anything, explode even. But I didn't. I just stared past her, past the countertop, out the window where our dead basil plant sat in a clay pot, forgotten and crusted. Fitting. Then she said it. I think we should go to therapy. It was the first time in months she brought up we in any form. And I should have been relieved, or curious, or something. But I just nodded. A slow, pathetic nod, like some worn-out husband giving the last bit of leash to a dog that already ran off weeks ago. Later that night, she sat beside me on the couch, a little too close. I could feel the way her thigh pressed against mine, warm and jittery, like she thought touch could erase memory. The TV played, but I wasn't watching. I was counting how long she kept pretending. 10 minutes in, she rested her head on my shoulder. And that's when I noticed something strange. Her eyes weren't on the screen. They were scanning the living room. Subtle. Sharp. Like she was checking if something had been moved. Or if I had found it. Whatever it was. That's when I realized I wasn't the only one hiding things. I stayed still. Let her rest there. Let her think I was the same man she married. The one who always forgave quickly and talked slowly. But inside me something had cracked in a new way. Not from pain this time, but from curiosity. What else was she hiding? At 2:17 a.m., when she finally fell asleep beside me, I slipped out of bed and started searching. Not like a madman. Not like a jealous freak. Like a man who wanted answers without the screaming. I started in her closet. It was always organized, always neat. But behind a stack of off-season scarves, tucked in a designer shoebox she swore she never used, I found something I didn't expect, a second phone. Locked. Dead. Burner style. Lightweight. Old Samsung. I didn't touch it long. Just enough to confirm it was real, to know I wasn't spiraling. Then I slid the box back into place and sat there in the dark, alone on the floor of her walk-in closet, heart beating so loud I could hear it echoing against her dresses. She had a secret phone. That wasn't cheating. That was something else. That was planning. And I couldn't stop thinking about what kind of woman needs a second phone when she's already erased the truth from the first one. I didn't sleep that night. And by morning, I'd made a decision. If she wanted to lie with her mouth and hide with her hands, I'd learn to see with mine. I charged the second phone in the garage, using the old car outlet adapter I hadn't touched in years. I didn't want to plug it in anywhere inside the house, like it might poison the walls or leave some kind of scent she could detect. I sat in the passenger seat of my Corolla with the windows fogging up, engine off, watching the green battery icon crawl across the screen like a slow reveal of a corpse under a sheet. When the phone finally buzzed to life, it only asked for a pattern. Not a fingerprint. Not a face. Just a pattern. Callie wasn't creative. She used our anniversary for every password. She thought 0819 was clever. On the third try, I guessed the pattern. A backwards L. The home screen lit up. No background photo. No apps. Just messages and a call log. Clean. Almost too clean. But in the deleted folder, she missed something. A thread labeled Denton. Not a name I recognized. Probably fake. But the messages didn't feel fake. They felt intimate. I scrolled, and it was like watching a version of my wife I'd never met. She was light, funny, provocative. She sent pictures. Nothing explicit, just enough to punch me in the chest. Her in a restaurant bathroom mirror. A smirk I hadn't seen in months. A picture of a hotel keycard. A close-up of her feet in the passenger seat of a car that wasn't mine. A voice memo that simply said, "I dreamt about your hands again." But what hit me harder than any of it were the dates. This wasn't new. This went back 9 months. I sat there, cold, numb, nauseous, until something unexpected happened. The phone vibrated. Incoming call. No caller ID. Just private number. I froze. Watched the screen blink for 2, 3, 4 rings. Then I answered it. I didn't speak. A man's voice, calm but direct, said, "You told me you didn't live with him anymore." I stayed silent. He repeated, slower this time. "Callie, are you there?" I hung up. My hand was shaking like I'd just touched electricity. So he didn't even know she was married. Or at least still married. She told him we were over. She built a life on 2 lies. One for him, one for me. 2 different versions of herself, perfectly split. I turned off the phone and shoved it into the glove box under expired registration papers and an old half-melted flashlight. I sat in silence, staring through the windshield at the garage door, trying to remember who she was before all this. Before the distance. Before the girls' nights, and the second phone, and the strange new towel she bought that I never saw her use. Back inside the house, she was folding laundry. Calm. Domestic. As if the version of her in that phone didn't exist. And maybe that's the part that broke me more than anything else. She wasn't just cheating. She was compartmentalizing. Turning herself into an actress so precise that even I was buying tickets to her show, night after night. I looked at her from the hallway and felt a surge of something I hadn't felt before. Not pain. Not jealousy. Strategy. If she could lie that well, maybe it was time I learned how to lie back. She didn't see me watching her. Her reflection in the TV screen was smiling. Not at me, but at the life she thought she was getting away with. And I realized then, this story wasn't about catching her anymore. It was about what I would do with the truth. 3 nights later, she slept soundly in our bed while I moved puzzle pieces in the dark. She had no idea that her liar's paradise was shifting under her, that I had started playing the long game, and I didn't intend to blink first. It started with small things. I began changing patterns inside the house. I rearranged the medicine cabinet, so her anxiety meds were on the bottom shelf instead of the middle. She noticed within a day, paused in front of the open cabinet like it had spoken to her, then closed it without a word. I moved on. The next night, I unplugged her hair straightener and placed it neatly on the floor beside the vanity instead of the counter. Again, confusion, hesitation, but silence. She didn't ask me about any of it. That told me everything. She wasn't sure whether she was forgetting things or whether someone was intentionally adjusting her world, and she couldn't risk asking. Because asking meant cracking the illusion she worked so hard to build. I began keeping a small notebook. Nothing digital. I didn't trust the cloud. I logged everything. When she left, what she wore, who she said she was meeting, how long she stayed out. But more importantly, I started tracking the lies. Not the ones she told me directly. The ones she told everyone else. Her stories weren't consistent. She told Sierra she was planning a trip with her new guy. She told her mom we were doing really well lately. And she told me, last Thursday, that her phone died while she was at Target. I let her think I believed it. I even helped her bring in the groceries she definitely didn't buy there. That same night, while she was watching trash TV in the living room, I went out for a drive. Instead, I parked 2 blocks from the address I found in her burner phone's deleted text history. A name, Levi. Not Denton. Another one. A real one. And an address. His lights were on. There was a motorcycle out front. Callie always hated motorcycles. She said they were for people who peaked in high school. So why was she spending nights in the apartment of a man who wore leather jackets and quoted Bukowski on his Instagram? Because he wasn't me. He was the opposite of me. And that's when it clicked. She didn't just cheat for sex. She cheated for escape. She wanted someone to make her feel new again, even if it meant burning down the old. But what she didn't realize was that I had stopped being old the moment I woke up. And now, I was rebuilding myself, piece by piece, in the shadows of her own deception. Back home, I started copying her keys. I opened a safety deposit box under my name. I scanned our marriage certificate. I found her social security number in a dusty old tax folder and locked it in my vault, separate from her world. I wasn't planning to hurt her. That's not who I am. But I was preparing for the endgame. And in that endgame, I would leave nothing behind for her to twist. She began to notice my quiet. She started making breakfast again, asking about my day, sitting closer on the couch. testing the waters to see if I was still stupid enough to love her blindly. I played my part, nodded when appropriate, even made a joke about her mom's new boyfriend. But behind the smile, I was carving exits in my mind. Every day, I asked myself the same question. When the final card drops, when she realizes I know everything, what will I leave her with? The answer came to me late one night when I opened her laptop while she was in the bath and found a draft email, unsent, to someone named Ames. It read, "Sometimes I wonder if I'm the villain. But then I look at him, and I feel nothing. I don't think he's even real anymore." She meant me. She was talking about me like I was already gone. A memory she didn't respect enough to delete. That's when I decided. She wanted a ghost? I'd give her one. But not before I made sure she'd never forget what it felt like to be haunted. It was the little things that changed first. She stopped leaving her phone face up on the table. She turned off read receipts. She began taking longer showers again, the kind where you can't hear music or water, only silence. Silence behind closed doors has a shape, a rhythm, and when you've sat in silence long enough, you start to recognize when it's hiding something. But the most telling shift? She started locking doors that were already open. Emotionally, logistically, literally. Her laptop password changed. The second burner phone gone. The shoebox in the closet replaced with a new pair of heels I'd never seen her wear. She even took the time to sort our junk drawer, as if by cleaning it she could scrub away the pieces of herself I might still be able to trace. The drawer had always been chaotic. Pins that didn't work, broken tape measure, expired coupons, random keys. But now it was organized. Cold. Sterile. Like a drawer in someone else's house. She was prepping for something. That much was clear. But here's the part that changed me. I wasn't afraid anymore. Because every time she locked something, I had already made a copy of the key. She thought I was still lost. Still floating. Still fragile. But the truth is, the moment I stopped trying to fix us, I started remembering how to fix me. So I leaned in. I played the role better than she ever had. I became engaged again. I cooked dinner. Sent her a playlist that reminded me of us. I even suggested we do a weekend away. The beach, just the two of us. Her eyes lit up, but not with affection. With confusion. She didn't know whether to be relieved or suspicious. I could practically hear her thoughts. Did he find out? Did he forgive me? Or worse, is he pretending like I am? The most satisfying part of all, watching her squirm under the weight of her own performance. But I wasn't doing this for fun. I was building something. A controlled detonation. Every day I woke up earlier than her and logged into our shared banking portal. I opened a second checking account. Transferred small amounts. $200 here, $150 there. Enough to stay invisible. I began collecting documents. Her insurance info, a copy of the lease, her gym membership contract. Anything with her signature on it. Anything that proved how many lives she lived while pretending ours was still intact. I even got into her cloud account using a backup recovery method she forgot she linked to my email years ago. That's when I found the photo. Not the kind you expect. Not her in lingerie, not her with another man. It was worse. It was her smiling in our kitchen, wearing one of my old shirts, holding a mug that said, "World's Best Girlfriend." But the photo was dated 3 weeks after she told me she wasn't ready for kids because she didn't feel stable anymore. The caption she'd posted, to a hidden album named Another Life, read, "Soft Mornings with Levi Blueheart." She was living a fantasy in the same room I ate alone in for months. That's when I felt the shift completely. This wasn't about cheating. This was about erasure. She didn't want to hurt me. She wanted to replace me. So I started building my final move. One that would erase her, but with precision. I began writing an email. Just a draft. No subject line yet. No attachments. But every night I added a few lines. Lined up receipts. Screenshots. Messages. A curated list of everything Levi didn't know about Callie. Her history of lying. Her debt. The restraining order she'd conveniently hidden from our early years. The one she filed against her first husband. The one she told me just disappeared. He didn't disappear. He escaped. And now it was my turn. But not before I handed Levi the script to the play he didn't know he'd been cast in. Let her be the villain in someone else's life for once. Let her watch as her backup plan burned out before her eyes. The day I set the trap, I made pancakes. Blueberry, her favorite. The real kind, with lemon zest and vanilla in the batter. I even brewed the coffee before she woke up, just so the house would smell warm, like memories we didn't deserve anymore. She came into the kitchen in one of my old flannel shirts, yawning like she hadn't been lying to me with every breath for nearly a year. When she saw the food, she hesitated, just a half-second too long. "Is it my birthday?" she joked, eyebrows raised. "No," I said, smiling. "Just thought we could start over." She looked down at the plate, then at me. I watched her brain split itself in two, half the woman pretending to be touched, the other half scanning for whatever I might know, silently begging the air to keep her secrets hidden for just one more day. Later that evening, I left my laptop open on the dining table, screen on, email draft open, cursor blinking on a subject line that simply read, "Your girlfriend isn't who you think she is." I knew she'd look. I wanted her to. I went to shower and left it there like a bear trap under a picnic blanket. Sure enough, when I came back, the screen was dark, but the angle of the chair was different. And Callie was standing in the hallway, arms folded, trying to look casual. "You, working on something?" she asked. I shrugged. "Just clearing out some old drafts." She didn't ask more. That was the tell. By midnight, she was pacing. She forgot to take her melatonin. She scrolled Instagram for hours, aimlessly, pretending to laugh at videos. Her laughter was hollow, forced. She was unraveling, and I hadn't raised my voice once. That's what made it so perfect. She couldn't pin the pressure on anything I was doing, only on the weight of what she thought I might do. The next morning, I sent Levi the email. Not from my account. From a burner I created with no name, no attachments, no threats, just carefully laid breadcrumbs and a Dropbox link with everything she never meant him to see. No commentary, no venom, just cold, undeniable truth. Then I waited. By noon, she got a message. Her phone lit up while she was on the couch. I pretended not to notice. She picked it up, read it, and her face turned so pale I thought she might actually faint. "Everything okay?" I asked, not looking away from the TV. She muttered something about work. "A meeting change. Bad Wi-Fi." She fumbled the words. Dropped her phone. When she bent down to grab it, I saw her hands shaking. I almost felt bad. Almost. But then she went upstairs and didn't come down for 2 hours. When she finally did, her hair was up, her makeup was on, and she was wearing the dress she never wore for me anymore. She said she needed air and grabbed her keys. That was the moment I knew she was going to him. To fix it. To explain. To manipulate. But I'd already taken that away from her. What I hadn't told her, what I hadn't told anyone, was that Levi had already responded. He wrote back within 30 minutes. "Thank you. I had a feeling. She told me you were abusive. That you were controlling. That you hit her. None of it made sense. I'm sorry you had to go through this. I'm done." That was all he said. No drama. No fight. Just silence. I imagined her showing up at his place, smiling, begging, twisting her voice into softness, only to find the door locked and her name already blocked from his phone. A perfect collapse. And while she was out chasing the embers of her second life, I was home, collecting the final pieces of mine. I transferred the last $4,000 out of the joint account. I packed the box with my birth certificate, my dad's old watch, and the only 3 shirts I still liked. I left my wedding ring on her pillow. But before I left, I opened her top drawer and placed something else inside. The very envelope I'd taken with me all those nights ago. The one labeled "Truth SHE won't sing about." She wouldn't find it right away. Maybe not for days. But she would. And when she did, she'd realize just how long I'd known. How long I'd let her run, dig, lie, spin, all while I stood still and watched her bury herself. I didn't need revenge anymore. I had something better. Control. I didn't slam the door. I didn't throw a final insult over my shoulder. I didn't write some dramatic letter for her to cry over. I didn't ghost her. I didn't torch her clothes in the yard like people do in movies when they don't know how else to scream. I just left. Quiet. Focused. Almost still. There's something powerful about walking away without needing to be heard. It took me a long time to understand that. For months, I thought the only way to feel better was to make her feel worse. But in the end, that wasn't what I needed. I didn't want her destroyed. I just wanted to stop carrying the weight of a love that didn't love me back. The morning after she left to chase whatever explanation she thought would save her, I drove out of the city. No plan. Just miles. I stayed at a cheap motel with loud air conditioning and the kind of scratchy sheets that make you appreciate clean ones. I sat on the floor that night, eating gas station noodles, watching the ceiling fan spin like it was trying to hypnotize me into letting go. And I did. Piece by piece, I started to let go. I stayed gone. Got a small apartment in a different part of the state. Found a job that didn't remind me of the life I had built for someone who didn't want to live in it. I bought a couch that only seated one. I started reading again. And cooking, not for someone else, not to impress, but because it felt good to feed myself with intention. She tried reaching out. Once. A text. Just 4 words. Can we talk sometime? I didn't respond. Because I already knew what I'd say. I'd say that I loved her once. Deeply, truly, stupidly. And that I gave her every version of myself hoping she'd see the value in one of them. But now I don't need her to see me. I finally do. 6 months later, I ran into someone at the bookstore. Her name was Marin. Unusual name. Honest eyes. She asked if I was looking for something in particular. I said no, just browsing. She smiled and said, "That's the best way to find something you didn't know you needed." We talked for an hour in the poetry aisle. And for the first time in a very, very long time, I didn't feel like I was pretending to be okay. I wasn't scared of losing her. I wasn't desperate to impress. I wasn't waiting for a second shoe to drop. I was just present. It's strange what healing looks like. It's not loud. It's not cinematic. It's not some fireworks in the sky moment. It's sitting in your own skin and realizing you're not trying to climb out of it anymore. Callie became a memory, not a scar, not a lesson, just a closed chapter in a book I finally put down. And me? I became someone I actually recognized again. Someone who no longer writes stories in the dark, hoping to be understood. Because now, I understand myself.